Hey guys, this is Rob from Epica, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
I can't tell you how many podcasts were like, that was great. And Bruce is like, I didn't hit record.
Don't believe a thing he said. That's a bunch of BS. This is the most professional podcast you'll ever be on.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a fantastic shirt.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love it. And that's probably my favorite album right there, too.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
I love the Hellboy figurines in the background.
I don't even...
This is still this is peanuts, man. I've got a huge collection over here.
Are you in the Netherlands right now?
Just like any nerd, most of the stuff is still boxed actually, but yeah. I'm always out of space. That's the main problem.
Yeah. All right, we can just start and Rena will jump in. I guess.
Got a great CD collection too. My God.
Yeah, this is also still just a fraction.
So you're a collector, is what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mostly horror stuff?
Well, actually, mostly Mike Mignola based stuff if it comes to the whole comic thing. And yeah, like you notice Hellboy, I'm a huge Hellboy fan. I mean, this says enough, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So there's Rena.
Hello there. How are you, Rob?
I guess it's good morning for you.
She's in Finland.
In Finland, then it's later for us. It's for you. It's 7, right?
Spot on. 7 exactly.
I know my time zones.
Clearly, for me, there's still kind of some sort of sorcery. I don't understand how that shit works.
Yeah, I know. I know how that feels, especially on tour.
So I'm gonna jump right in.
Sure.
Bruce, are we recording? Because I am
recording. Yeah, I see this crap I got to put up with, Rob. It's not right.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, it's classic. Yeah. So I saw the Hellfest broadcast. Freaking amazing. What was it like being out there?
It was great to be back again. I mean, last time we played there was in, if I'm correct, 2015, I guess. It was with the Quantum Enigma. So it's been a while, and especially with the whole pandemic crap going on, it's such a relief to be able to do stuff like this again. And it's always a big, we always get a big rush of playing in France anyway, because I don't know if you ever been to Hellfest before, but the crowd over there is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I mean, the crowd looked, and we were talking to somebody just previously, Einherger, or however you pronounce it, and they were saying the same thing. It was just absolute insanity with all those people there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even though it was a pretty cloudy day, because I believe the week before it was hot and a lot of people were dehydrated and everything. But because this year they did 2 weeks, they did like 2 editions in one.
Yeah,
it was pretty insane as well, I must say. Because when I saw the bill, I was like, "How the hell are you guys going to organize this?" But they did it, and it was absolutely amazing.
Well, I was thoroughly impressed by your set, and I've seen you many times before out on the boat and. Out on and around, and it was a great set again. So,
thank you.
Beautiful.
The stage show for you guys keeps kind of getting bigger and bigger.
That's the whole idea, yeah.
And more fire, which I find really cool. I love the fire.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Epica until 2011, and I was on 70,000 Tons of Metal, and I wasn't a metalhead. And I was drinking at the bar when I met this guy at the bar, and we just started talking. And I was like, "Oh, what brings you here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm playing." I was like, "Oh, cool. What band are you in?" He's like, "Epica." I was like, "I've never heard of you guys. I'll check you out, I guess." And you were playing on the pool deck, and it was Aryan, and I ended
at
up
the bar, obviously, yeah. Where else?
So I ended up drinking with him and Isaac quite a bit one night.
Right.
And cool. I just couldn't believe, because I'd never heard of them or heard of Epica at all. And I fell in love with the band at that set. Like, it was just so, I'd never heard that type of music before. And I came from Canada, I'm very kind of sheltered in my metal world at the time. 70,000 Tons of Metal really opened my eyes to what metal was.
And I bet that must have been pretty traumatizing for you as well. The first metal experience on such a boat with all those crazy idiots, like being stuck together on a boat for 4 days or something like that.
It was a religious experience, man. It was like the best
that's a
time of
good
my
thing.
life. I was just
I'm happy
like,
to hear that.
yeah, I'm like, I'm never going back, you know? And it really turned me into a fan, and I've been following ever since. And it's just amazing to watch how you guys are constantly like growing. Everything you do is growing. The productions are growing. The stage productions are growing. Like artistically, you're constantly growing.
Mhm.
And it's something that I find inspiring personally.
Okay.
Now, I just saw you went through and did a huge tour of Mexico,
Right.
which must have been kind of interesting. How was that?
Yeah, that's pretty correct. It was very interesting, to be honest. First of all, I must say that we were a little bit afraid that it would have been like, perhaps because we did 9 shows there. I thought like maybe it's a little bit too much just for Mexico, because it's the first time that we did like 9 shows in one run in Mexico, just one country. And since the whole thing that's been going on with the pandemic and ticket sales going down and everything, I was a little bit afraid that it might be a little bit of a bummer, that tour. But holy shit, it was such an amazing tour, and a lot of people showed up, and wow, just one word, wow. It was an amazing tour. It's one of the coolest tours that we ever done. I can tell you.
Some of the footage I saw from there, it looked like you guys were playing like tens of thousands. Like it was just packed. Everything was jammed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even I mean, I must say it also blew our minds. We didn't expect it at all, because I mean, things also here in Europe, there are a lot of bands that are coming over here, and even with like bigger names, sometimes they play at the venues that they normally play, and they're not even sold out, or they close the balcony and stuff like that. We were kind of expecting the same thing to happen in Mexico as well, but no, not at all. Not at all.
So that brings me to my next question then, because like when I remember I came back from 70,000 Tons of Metal 2011, and I used to teach audio engineering, and I had a student from Brazil, and I was like, I told her, oh man, I saw this band Epica. She goes, oh my God, I love that band. They're like the Backstreet Boys in Brazil, man. They're huge. And then as I started to learn, no, I don't mean that. That's what she told me. I'm just repeating it. And I noticed, like in South America, metal and you guys are quite huge.
Mhm.
And in Mexico, so what is it in the US and Canada that we're not getting? You know, as a general population, what are we missing?
I guess you can kind of compare it to Europe as well. I guess we're all pretty spoiled. I guess that's the main thing. And also that there's like, I hate to use that word, but perhaps there's a little bit of a saturation of the market as well. Perhaps a little bit of an overkill if it comes to bands. Because to be honest, the first time when I toured the US, I was surprised that certain bands that are huge over here played in like these really crappy little clubs, like more like sports bars in the US. And that's the same thing, like compared to if you go to South America, Central America, I guess there many years ago, there weren't that many bands actually touring over there. And I remember actually before I joined the band, Epica was one of the very first metal bands actually to go there. Because I remember when Mark told me, because I have known Mark for many, many years, when he told me like, we're going to do a tour in Mexico, like 15 or 20 years ago or something like that. Everybody was looking at him like, what the hell? Why are you going to Mexico? Why are there even venues over there? Because a lot of people are not aware of that. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Epica has built up a really big fan base over there, because the band has started really early playing there. Because they also told me the story that once they played in Costa Rica, and there were 2 metal concerts that year. 1, Metallica, 2, Epica. Wow. So you can imagine that, I mean, even though there are a lot of metalheads over there, they have only choice for 2 shows, then they'll probably go pick both shows. Compared to if you go to the US or Canada or anywhere here in Europe, there's always a band playing. Even if you come over here and let's say you go to Amsterdam, for instance, if you go to Amsterdam and you want to check out the band, it's not a matter of like, are we actually being able to check out the band? It's rather the question like, which venue are you going to check out, or which band are you going to check out? Because you have like 10 or maybe 20 options a night.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. It's just something I noticed, and that the old student of mine really opened my eyes to what was happening with metal, especially in Central and South America. I was just like, wow, I had no idea that it was, and then you see tour footage from bands like Arch Enemy, and they go down there, and it's the same thing. It's just insane, and I'm just like, what are we missing? And you're probably right. It's this oversaturation of the market, but like I remember seeing you guys on 70,000 Tons of Metal, then all the concert footage, and then you came through Vancouver where I used to live.
Yeah.
And you played like a smaller club there. And I was just like, it was packed, it was great. And I think I even ate sushi with you guys that night. Actually, I did. I have photos of it.
Could be. But that's been a while, right?
Yeah, a long time ago. That was 2012, like decade ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember those were like these huge sushi rolls, right?
Yeah.
With
Rory. Rory was the tour manager.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that he came in the tour bus with these huge boxes of sushi. I believe we actually ate from the whole band and crew. I was able to eat from that like for 3 days or something. Like sushi for breakfast, for lunch.
3-day-old sushi.
That's a good question.
Like, isn't that a death wish?
Oops. Yeah, but I remember, that was pretty crazy.
But it was just something I thought about, like, how do we as metalheads get the message out in North America better so that bands have more exposure and play bigger venues,
Yeah.
I don't have the answer. It's just a question I have all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. But there is also a big difference that, for instance, if the runner picks us up from the airport and they put on the radio, you hear rock music.
Yeah.
If you put on the radio over here, also here in Europe, to be honest, it's all this. I don't want to put certain music in certain boxes or genres or whatever, but let's face it, it's just crap. You're hearing classic music. You're not hearing metal or rock or classic rock, for instance. There are a lot of people over there that are still listening to a lot of 70s and 80s stuff as well, which is quite rare over here and probably in the States as well.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm not trying to sidetrack the
guys,
conversation.
Like, I bet that's pretty rare. And then we got these guys. They're like, it never happens. But because they're old as fuck, But
yeah. Come on.
They're old. No, sorry. Like,
I might be bald, but I'm not 50 yet.
Hey.
I'm here just sneaking around, trusting beauty filters and shit, hiding my age, which is also almost 40 in 3 months. But
you're even hiding you're even hiding where you are.
Yes.
True.
Very incognito.
I see San Francisco,
you don't need to look at
you're in Helsinki, and you're probably in Helsinki, or where are you right now?
In Espoo, yeah. So the nearing city to Helsinki, just a stone's throw away from Tavastia, where you have probably played.
Right.
So, like, what's up now? What's happening with Epica? Like, are you guys working on new stuff or just touring, just doing gigs?
We're doing a lot at the moment, even though we have like 2 weeks off, which is still doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Like you said, we just had a tour in Mexico. We also did some dates, and we played in Israel. We played in Turkey. We did some festivals here in Europe as well. We're going to Greece next week. We're going to Hungary. We're also playing at Wacken Festival. A whole bunch of other festivals, also in France, I believe. And then, of course, mid-September, or actually, I'm skipping one very important thing. Early September, we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary with a 20th anniversary show in Tilburg in the O13. And we also already did some preparations for that this week. We went to the venue, checked some stuff out, what we're going to do production-wise as well. So we're talking about big stuff in flames. Well, there you go. There you have it. And
the bigger the band. So
yeah, exactly. Now, we're already starting to get in this. I remember that back in the days, the stages were too big and we looked kind of boring on stage. Now the stages are getting too small.
That's great. That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, first world problems.
I love all the metal work you guys have on stage right now. Like it looks like an iron worker built it all up, and very cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, definitely.
What was the what's the thought process? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we also have because of the 20th anniversary, also doing some re-releases as well. Like the first 3 albums will be re-released in a box set, but also with the Live in Paradiso DVD that fans have been waiting for 20 years now or something.
Wow.
And that's also something where really it feels like absolutely like a relief that it's finally going to happen. Even though it's before my time, I wasn't even part of the band yet, but I know there's like this huge myth behind that whole show, and people just want to see it. So I'm really glad that we finally can put that out. And last but not least, between the North American tour and South American tour, we're also going to release a new project that we've been working on, a new secret project.
Oh man,
new material as well. And you're probably going to hear some things that you never have heard us doing before. So
really,
yeah.
Oh my God, it seems like you guys are always working.
Yeah,
as a band,
I hear that a lot.
which is cool.
Yeah,
but it's just like you're like, oh, we have 2 weeks off. Well, you're doing promotion. You don't have 2 weeks off, right? You're still working.
Yeah, exactly. We're 2 weeks at home, still doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that hard work is what makes you, one step ahead of everyone else, right? Because you guys are grinding.
Yeah, well, that's definitely, if people ask me like what is the force behind this band, it's definitely the passion, and that we're very driven. Absolutely. I can't ignore that. That's definitely a thing. If it feels like it's kind of weird, because sometimes when I have like a day off, or it always feels like oh damn it, I haven't done anything. I feel like a very unproductive, lazy bastard, even though we're doing so much in the meantime. If I look at my agenda and what things we have done in a week time, for instance, sometimes it's pretty insane, but perhaps we don't even realize it because it's so fun to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the country.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
Do you ever miss, like, do you get that, like, urge to do absolutely nothing? For some reason I can't talk, I'm sorry. Just to do absolutely squat and just do nothing for a week. Does that, because even if it's fun, you can burn yourself out.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but for a few days, okay, but for a whole week, no. It's I mean, we can really enjoy being at home and sitting on the couch just watching TV or movies and do nothing, but after a few days I'll get bored anyway.
Yeah.
There's always something going on over here, so.
So what's it like playing in such an influential metal band? Because I in my eyes, I kind of see Epica as like the pinnacle of what you guys do, that genre of music. So what's it like playing in a band like that? Like, do you have a lot of younger artists that come to you asking for help or advice or anything along those lines?
Yeah, that definitely helps. But I guess sometimes we don't even realize that ourselves, that we're in that position, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's been, like you said, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years.
That's pretty crazy when you think about it. And even me, I mean, I'm the guy who joined the band, like, I'm like still considered the new boy, but that's also, that's also like over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago.
Yeah. So, yeah. Things have been pretty stable. But what you said, yes, absolutely. There are a lot of musicians out there that ask for advice. And I'm also working as a teacher at a metal school. So I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm also helping a lot of young, growing metal musicians, help them with their careers and coaching them and stuff like that. So that's also very cool to do, by the way.
Teaching is the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if you think you know something, and then you start teaching it, suddenly you realize just how little you knew, you know? Because you get asked so many questions about stuff that you would have, I never thought about that way before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never approached it this way before. And there's all these things that come up, and then you have to research, and suddenly you find out, holy shit, Like,
yeah, and the good thing is also that you also keep repeating the basis of everything, the whole essence of making music and everything what's behind it, but also your instrument, for instance. And sometimes that can be a little bit lame, but at the same time, it keeps you fresh as well, and it keeps you focused. Because I remember that before I did this all stuff, I was playing these very, crazy progressive metal bands and stuff like that. And it was all about technique and playing fast and stuff like that. And when somebody asked me, like, play a simple blues, for instance, I totally forgot how to do that. So you kind of lose your whole essence of the whole music making and everything behind it. And that's the good thing about teaching, is that you keep repeating it over and over again.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility then to your fans and to your, I guess, your students in a way, or no?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do feel a responsibility also to keep this whole thing alive and to, I mean, in the end, I mean, there's a new generation coming up. There are new genres coming up, and I mean, with this whole world how it's going right now, we have to definitely keep this whole thing alive. So I definitely feel a kind of a responsibility regarding that.
Right, especially because there is a metal family, right? I mean, there's definitely something that holds everyone together from every country just based on the riff.
Yeah, exactly. But also the whole industry is changing, and it keeps getting harder and harder for younger bands to actually break through and to go doing tourings and everything. And I mean, when you're starting as a band, you have to invest a lot, and a lot of people don't have the luxury to do that. And things are also changing. I mean, it was not like it used to be. Like you get a record deal and here's like a huge advance of, let's say, 200 rand or whatever, so you can live of it for a couple of years. It's like, okay, you can already be happy if your record gets released. Or actually, the whole medium of records is starting to become a little bit dated as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the whole social media thing and the whole streaming platforms and everything, that the whole like music as a physical product is definitely, it's still something for the purists and for the like diehard fans, but it's definitely a thing that's, yeah, it's gone basically.
Yeah. Rena?
That is a huge shift.
Yeah, it is.
It's massive. And I don't know how bands make that up, honestly, that revenue loss.
Yeah.
That's something I don't understand personally, and a lot of people with smarter minds have probably figured it out, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's also one of the reasons why bands also need to play, especially if it comes to metal bands. You have to tour if you want to make money. You want to be able to live of it, because that's also the thing. A lot of people think that, oh, these guys are playing these huge shows, they must be rich and everything. That's complete nonsense. I mean, we just have we make a living out of it, and we were still making we're still being able, also during the pandemic when we had the lockdown, we weren't able to play, we still had enough money to make a living out of that. That's all fine. I'm really being very grateful for that as well, but it's already pretty much a pain in the ass to be able to make a living out of this. So yeah,
well, like I saw like on the one sheet that was sent over, it's like 1,000 shows in 60 countries. Like when you think about that, that's a huge commitment.
Yeah, it is.
Like how many dates a year are you guys on the road? Like pre-pandemic?
Yeah. Well, time-wise, we're always like, during like a regular year, I would say like 6 out of 12 months we're on the road, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you're grinding, and I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
So like 180 to 200 days a year, you're out.
Yeah.
That's hard work.
It is.
Yeah, and it's funny, like how you think about it, like that it's either every other day you're doing a gig, or then half the year for touring and half the year for chilling, but it's probably closer to the every other day, and it just comes across completely different like that.
Yeah, and like we discussed before, even if we're chilling at home, we're still at work. That's the whole thing. But it's really funny when for instance, when I explain it to, like, let's say to my family, like what we're doing, I always get this remark saying, "Oh, it's almost like you're running a company." It's like, no, we're running a company. It's exactly what it is.
It is exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have a business. No, it is a business.
Exactly.
I am running a business.
Yeah, and it's even a trickier business than many of the businesses out there. Like it's windier. It's more like sort of at the mercy of the circumstances, like these pandemics, and of course, like the entire industry took a hit, and the restaurant industry took a hit, and blah blah blah. But like most industries would still just keep going and just make some adjustments. And it doesn't have to be like a pandemic or anything. It's such an up and down. If people just decide that, hey, female fronted metal, we're done with that, then that's it. And there's not much you can do about it, because it's all about like these trends and fluctuations of what people want and what they're into and what they actually enjoy and what they find bring something into their lives. But there I have to say that, conquering that whole South America and Mexico and all that stuff, because I am willing to bet my butt that it's never going to be done in those regions. So you'll always have Mexico, always.
Yes.
Yeah. But also what you said, like, I don't think that people will be done with a certain genre there. I mean, people are listening to certain bands. And if you're a diehard fan, then you'll care anyway. You don't care. I mean, that's something that I also kind of, at least that from my point of view, what I kind of noticed that the whole thing about genres is kind of changing. There used to be like very strict, like, oh, this is death metal, this is black metal, this is symphonic, blah, blah, blah. And now it's all, everything is kind of mixed up anyway. It doesn't really matter anymore. People are there for the bands, and it doesn't matter anymore, like, which genre you're from. Because also these days we don't do like, normally back in the days we did packages with like bands from our own genre. That's something that's not really happening anymore. That's also something that's been changing. Because
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to go on before you. Or after you, I mean. I've seen you guys live, sure. And like, Arjen is a clock, you know?
He is. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
And you're no slouch yourself. So like, you talk about like you're on the road so much.
Yeah.
You never mentioned practicing your instrument, but that's also a huge part of what you have to do.
Exactly. When we're on the road, that basically, I mean, the funny thing, when I joined the band, that was actually on the release date of Requiem for the Indifferent. That's when Eve decided to leave the band. And I had like 10 days to study all the songs. And when I went on tour, I also asked the guys, like, okay, when are we going to rehearse? Because, I mean, this is going to be my first tour with you guys. I haven't done a show with you guys before. How are we going to do this? And they say, like, you know, just practice. And if there are certain songs that are still kind of tricky for you, we'll do them during the sound check. So, yeah, but what about an actual rehearsal? He said, well, we never rehearse. We only rehearse when we go to the studio. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. And to be honest, we did the shows and they went pretty okay, I must say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, when everyone's a professional and they keep their chops up, that's really all that needs to happen, right? Because everyone can count, everyone can play the parts.
Yeah, and to be honest, I also
in Finland.
Sorry,
we have this saying that goes, only the talentless rehearse, and I think it applies perfectly here.
That's an interesting.
Of course, you have to keep yourself in shape, of course, because I mean, we're not getting any younger, and you have to keep everything like it still has to be like an oiled machine anyway. But yeah, I mean, even during the lockdown when we didn't have any shows, like, what's the use of keep repeating those same songs if you don't have any shows? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know there are people who do it, and that's okay. I mean, that's up to other people, but yeah, not in my case.
Thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure. I'm hoping to catch you when you're here in the States in I think it's a couple months, right? A month or two.
Yeah. We're starting mid-September, and just let me know. I mean, send me a message on social media, and we'll catch up.
Where are they? Where are they playing here, Bruce?
I saw the routing, but I think it's up by you more in Maryland. I think there's
Baltimore. Are they playing at the soundstage? Probably. Okay.
I don't have.
I'll be there for sure.
Yeah.
No, not soundstage. I mean, this is actually like we're doing a tour with Sabaton, and the venues are starting to get pretty big with those guys. So.
Oh man. Okay, 1 second. I'm not going to let you go yet. I got to look it up here. I need to know.
I didn't
know you were touring the U.S.
Yeah, and it's coming up.
I have to schedule over here. Where do you guys live?
Virginia.
Washington D.C. basically.
Or Maryland. All those are right here.
Right. Houston, Nashville, Atlanta, Silver Spring.
Oh, they're playing Silver Springs.
The Fillmore?
At the Fillmore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way closer to me. That's awesome. It's sold out. Fuck.
Yeah, no, it's a double. It's going to be another show, double show.
Okay.
Plus, you have connections.
Exactly. Just let me know. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I'll put you on the guest list. No problem.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, no, I want to go. It's
bring sushi. Bring sushi.
I'll bring sushi.
As long as you bring the sushi, you're on the list.
And I'll buy beers. Trust me.
Bring it fresh though, not 3 days old.
Right. Still fed up from that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rob, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Super lovely meeting you.
And hope to see you guys in the future.
Absolutely. Be safe on tour.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.